I'm Kate Danielle, and in this video we are going to be creating some printable binder covers. You know, the inserts that you would put in a binder, and we're even going to talk about how you make the insert for the spine of a binder. So let's get into Canva. Okay, when I start a printable product, when I start designing it, sometimes I begin with the interior pages, like what really the product is, and then design the cover options last based off what I have come up with for the theme or the look for the inside pages. And sometimes I start with a cover. A cover can be a great way to get your creative juices flowing. And so today we're starting with just a cover. So you kind of have to decide what this is going to be a cover for, based off that, what you want it to look like. So I'm going to go with the whole spring theme because we're in we're at the end of March. So we're well into spring and starting to warm up outside. There's also pollen where I live, but that's besides the point. We're going to go with some bright, fun spring things. So anytime I just come into Canva to do my research, I come over to the Elements tab and just start typing in some things. So I'm going to start off with spring. And a lot of times I come into graphics and see what we have, see if there's anything that might spark my interest. I got some flowers, a cute bike. And so, along with the idea of the theme, you kind of got to know what this is the cover for. So let's say I recently created the home binder templates, which is all about home organization. So while that set does have some covers, let's design a new fun spring cover for that. So this is going to be a cover for the home organization binder. And I'm just collecting ideas, even something like that. Okay, and then you might want to go over to photos and see what there is. Now, photos are definitely going to be very ink heavy, so it's going to be up to you on how much ink you think your audience is going to want to use. But when you're making covers, if this is for a product, you can have several different cover options. You can have some that are more simple and some that use a lot of ink. And sometimes you can use photos just for color inspiration. So that might be a fun color palette, or even this. And then maybe we want to type in a different word. So like a floral pattern background. Come back over to graphics and see what we have. That could be fun. And again, I'm just getting some ideas. Anytime I click on something, it's a good idea to see what the Magic Recommendations has for me. Okay, and because this is a home binder, maybe we type in home. In fact, I know that that's what I typed in when I created the covers. This is a pretty spring home. What did it give me? This is kind of a cute design. I probably wouldn't use this graphic alone because remember in Canva we have to create a combination of things, but that might be something that sparks me trying to use those words or making a new idea based off that inspiration. I'm going to add a new page because I'm starting to fill up. And I basically continue this process until I feel like I've got some things to work with. Because like I said, when I create covers, I often am making a variety. And you also you want to create a staple cover that is really going to make your product stand out when you're listing it for sale. So keep that in mind as well. So looking back at what we have, I really liked this house. That is going to probably be my option for a very simple, just black and white cover. And then I might get some more flowers. I like these images for color palettes. They could also be a background on a really colorful one. We could put some flowers on top of one of them. Like that one, that could work. Okay, so I'm going to take these two. I'm going to hit Command C and copy these on a new page. Might do something there. Okay. So now that we've got some ideas started, it's time to put some text, create the title, and lay out the rest of what you want your binder cover to look like. So I'm going to hit T on my keyboard, drop in a text box, and give it a name. So you can name your products, even if you're using PLR templates like from the membership, you can come up with your own names. And let me get a sip of coffee. And if you're drawing a blank, I tend to go to ChatGPT, or Canva has its own AI tool, which I haven't used in a while. So let's use it. Click out the Canva Assistant, and this is also a great place to find graphics that match your design. I tend to forget about this spot. We'll dig more into that. But I'm going to look for AI, or was it there? Edit with Magic, right? And so we're going to type in, give me 5 title options for a home, or I'm like talking as I type this out. Let's see how it does. And then you could pick one or keep working, keep brainstorming. I am going to pick simplify your space, like this whole line. Why is it not letting me? Okay, gotta click insert. It's been a while since I've used Canva's AI. Let me turn my email off. Let's shrink this down so we can see it. And I want to use number 4. I'm just going to delete out everything else. And I don't need that to be bulleted. So I'm going to hold Alt and make a copy because I want to take just the first part of that line, simplify your space, make it bigger. Let's get out the quotation mark, and let's pick a pretty font. Move myself out of the way. So if you want to get really creative with your Canva designs, add a little extra uniqueness, I a lot of times upload my own fonts. I can't use those in the PLR templates because I don't have the rights to share those fonts with you that I've gotten outside of Canva. But I have a membership to Creative Fabrica. I can get a link for that. And so I upload a lot of my own fonts. You don't have to do this. Canva has tons and tons of fonts to choose from, but you know, it's another way to stand out a little bit more if you have that time. Don't go down a whole font rabbit hole just trying to find the perfect font. I would just limit your options, maybe set a timer to give yourself like 10 minutes to look at other font options. So I'm going to start with one. Sometimes I do change my mind later on. We'll go with this one, Super Kids. And I'm going to try curving it over this house. So I've come into Effects, Curve, and make it a little less curved. And I want to space the letters apart a little bit more. Place it over the house, maybe. And now that I have it set, if I want to try a couple different font options, I can look around to see because it really, fonts are important. They do change the look. Oh, kitchen cookies, that's one of my favorites. I use it a lot in my own branding. Okay, we'll stick with this. And now under the house, I want the rest of that tagline. Okay, and let's see if I I am gonna try it in the kitchen cookies, but it may be that I want to add in like a different font here. Yeah, I could do something like that. I'm using the shortcut to shrink my text, which is Shift Command and then the greater than. Is you use the greater than and less than symbols, but you kind of use them like arrows. And now to add a little bit more to this, let's go back. I'm going to come back into this Canva Assistant and see more like this. So it pops it up. Okay, so you don't really need to go in there. That pretty much does the same thing as clicking on the info button, which is easier, and doing see more like this. Before it said something different, designs that match your, or graphics that match your design. So I'm not loving these options. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to type in, oh, here we go. Here's our more suggestions. See what we get. I kind of want some filler florals. Maybe something like that. No, definitely something like this, probably. And maybe kind of even make a pattern. It's going to see all, trying to pick things that kind of look similar to the different graphics that are in the house. And a vine, maybe. We're kind of getting into a bigger process here of creating an entire pattern, but that's okay. We got it. I'm not going to use that vine. So I need, let's do like a dot doodle. We're going to go with something like this. I'm going to make it small and kind of fit it in. I'm going to select all of those. I don't want that text selected, so I'm going to hold Shift. And I'm holding Alt and just making copies of this group. I hold Alt and I drag it around. So I could continue, let me plug my computer up, and create this whole pattern for this background. Of course, like I said, that's going to be a bigger undertaking. So if we want to just add a little bit more, we could type in, let's try, we could go back to floral patterns and take out background. let's change it to flower. And just find one that you think is going to work with your design. I don't like that one. Let's try flower outline pattern. Something like this could work. And what I do with these patterns is you can obviously just stretch it out, but then it gets kind of big. So I'm going to decide what size I want it, maybe something like that. Go ahead and set the color. If you want this to be black, that is going to be busy. So we could keep it out of gray, but I'm going to show you how we can make our middle still stand out with this pattern. I'm going to leave it this gray. Now that I've got it set, I'm going to hold Alt. And a lot of these patterns are seamless, meaning that if I drag a copy over, they're going to match up on the edges. Sometimes you have to zoom in, but that one looks like it did it. So now I've rubber band selected both of these. I'm going to hold Alt, drag down, line up there, line up there. It's a good idea to go ahead and group these. So I'm going to hold Shift and make sure that I'm only selecting these background. I'm going to hit group. I'm going to make sure that this is all in the back. And we have a couple options. We can bring down this transparency. That's a cute look. I like this look. So you could do that. Let's make a copy. We could bring back the transparency. One thing when you're working on a group, even though this is a group right now, I only have that one block selected. So with my group selected like this, I'm going to hit Command A, and that's going to select the entire group for me to be able to bring that transparency back up. And now I could put a background shape in. So I'm going to hit R to get a shape. I like to work with this arch when I have curved text, which we may have to adjust our text a little bit to fit the arch shape more. I'm going to change this to white. Come to position. You can use these or come over to layers and you can actually see where you need that to fit in between all of our top elements and the background. And then let's come to arrange, make sure it's centered, and we're going to adjust this curve on the text to make it match the shape of our arch and raise it just a little bit. We could even, if we want that arch to stand out more, put a little bit of a border. I like it to be 1. And at this point, I would either shrink this or put this on 2 lines. Or we could, I don't want to nudge our arch. Let's just bring it down a little. There we go. Let's make sure that's, not animate, position. Yeah, that is centered. So there are a couple different cover options. Another thing we could have done here is just added some splatters around it. That's something I like to do a lot. Did that make a copy? No. So instead of having this background, I can just type in either grunge or let's try splatter. And you could play around with the ones you like. I like the more minimal. And just position this in different areas around your design, making sure you're not totally like making something hard to read. So really, once you get going, your ideas are endless. Now, if we wanted to continue with making one that was more colorful, you can definitely do that. And again, this flower is a pattern, so I kind of like the size it's at right now. Okay, and let's select all 4 of those and get them grouped because I'm not sure that I totally love that background. So I'm going to see, I've dragged that pattern just off to the edge so I can play around with this background some more. Something like that is definitely going to pop more, or at least it makes the flowers stand out more. Do have it like a sky blue. And just remember, you kind of want it to match the home binder. So these actually are kind of similar to things I did in the home binder templates, but whatever you're creating, you kind of want it to match. So it may be that if you want to make over something like the home binder to match this, then you're going to want to come pull these colors or use florals more throughout the design on the interior pages. You want to have some kind of common ground, whether it be that you're pulling these blues to use in it, you're going to use daisies throughout, or whatever flower this is, something like that. And then you would continue the process in making your title on this. It may be that you just have the words or that you have a photo. So that would be kind of busy with this. So maybe we take out the pattern, and on this one, instead of that, we want to have some sort of photo of a home. That's kind of cute. And obviously we're not just going to plop it on there, so we might want to come to our graphics and find a frame that is going to make it more unique. Maybe this version of our home binder is going to be more of a scrapbooker type of vibe. So we could get one of these frames, pop the photo in. I'm going to double click to drag up to show the cool table and chair. Now, I'm not going to lie, I don't love this background with this look, but these are just ideas of what you could do. And then we might bring in another piece of paper, like ripped paper, for our title. So I would make this line up, and then maybe you play around with putting the title of your design right there. I'm going to copy this. At this point, I would change out this background to make it more, to fit this vibe more. But you just kind of see how my ideas evolve. Maybe that's not my favorite ripped piece of paper, so I may see what else I've got. Let's see, paper background, paper texture, maybe something like that. Another thing, you can type in washi tape. Let's lock this so things don't keep trying to get in there. So that could be what you use instead, and just keep going until you get your style that you like. Brighten that piece of tape up a little bit. Maybe we go, oh, the lock didn't. There we go. That should keep it. There we go. Gotta double click that lock. Maybe we put the tape up top. Something like that. And keep going. Center all this up a little bit better. Doesn't have to be centered, but I don't want it way up high. Oh, I've locked it. Anyways, you get the idea. Now let's talk about creating binder inserts. So when I create binder inserts for a printable product, I want to offer it in a variety of sizes depending on the thickness of the binder. Now, I didn't know this when, the 3-ring binders, you come in like 1 inch, inch and a half, 2 inches, 3 inches. I always thought for the longest time that was the thickness of the spine, but it is the ring. It's the size of the ring. So I found this great Amazon listing because I don't have all these binders just laying around. It's for Avery Binder Spines Inserts. And in fact, if you went to Avery, you probably could get a template that has it printed out, ready to print on these. But what I like to do is I'm going to come here, and if you click on one, so this is for a 1-inch binder, and it says that a 1-inch binder has a 1.4 spine width. So I'm going to come to my blank page, hit R, and I'm going to come to my position panel, and I can type that in right there. And then we want them to be 11 inches tall. Yes. I was double checking myself there. But yeah, you want it to be 11 inches. So again, you can just type that in here or drag it. And then I'm going to turn off the center color and give this a dotted or dashed outline. I like to make it thin. And this is going to be our guide for designing the spine for a 1-inch binder. Now we're going to make a copy, and you can click on the next size that you want to create. So for the 1.5 binder, theirs is a 2.1 inch spine. So we're going to come back to position and change this to 2.1, and that's going to go ahead and make the adjustments. And you would do the same thing for whatever size that you want to create. You could even extend these off the page because typically people are going to want to print these at 100 scale if their printer will go to the edge, and then they'll just trim along those dotted lines. So here is something that you have to decide. You need to decide whether you want to design your spine this way. This is how I would deliver it so it fits in with your covers. But if you don't want to work typing sideways, which I would just type in my title. So simplify your space, if that's what it was going to be. I'm just going to copy it. I would type it in this way and set the font for however, and come and you can get it centered, and I can select both the outline and the text, come to position and center all that up. So it's not too hard. What you could also do is open up your different design window for a US letter document in landscape. Do your designs in landscape so you're looking at it sideways, and then rotate them and paste them into this. I would keep these fairly simple. For something like this house design, you could add either the splatters or just a simple floral. So I'll come back to info, see more like this. And again, this one didn't quite give me. Let's come back down to my spine. So just, you could pick out a little graphic that you like that match your design, center it up. You can put the background in these if you want to. It is up to you. And I would just make this, I would copy this and have this be the page to match that cover for whatever, however many different spine sizes I wanted to offer. If you want both of your graphic and your words to be centered in vertically, you're going to want to select the graphic, the words, group those, and rubber band select your rectangle and the group, come back to position, and that way it centers it up from the edge of the graphic down to the edge of your text box. So another, like something for this, maybe you just want to have the washi tape be on the spine. So that is how I make the spines and covers for binders. Like I mentioned, just to recap, I tend to want to make ones that are going to be simple and ones that are going to be maybe um, more creative, more ink use, and also focus on what is going to be like my staple cover that I want to really stand out if I'm going to make a binder mock-up for my listing photos and things like that. So with that, please let me know if you have any questions. I'm happy to answer them.